If you clicked on this video, that means you are searching for ways that you can stop living paycheck to paycheck, which simply means you're using up all of your paycheck until the next one arrives. So this leaves absolutely no room for unexpected expenses, and it makes it harder for you to save for your goals, such as retirement or buying your first home, paying off student loan debt, or even paying off credit card debt. So you've come to the right place because in this video, I'm sharing tips on how you can break the cycle of living paycheck to paycheck so that you can start saving money, growing your wealth, and working towards your financial goals. So if you want to learn how to break the cycle of living paycheck to paycheck, go ahead and grab a pen and a notebook or a diary, and let's make a plan. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Kimberly, and on this channel, we talk about ways to unlock your financial freedom by incorporating planning, productivity, and personal finance into your daily routine so that you can level up your life by getting out of debt and taking control of your 24 hours. So if you want to learn more, hit the subscribe button and keep watching. So for those of you that don't know, I paid off $30,000 in credit card debt back in 2020. And I always say that I was living credit card to credit card. And some of you out there may be doing the same thing, or you may be living paycheck to paycheck. So let's talk about some of the things that you can do to stop this cycle and to simply start living again. Now, if you know me, and you've watched any of my videos, you already know that my number one is going to be to create a budget. You absolutely have to have a budget in order to break the cycle. So to break the cycle of living paycheck to paycheck, you want to start by tracking all of the money that's going in and out of your bank account. You want to add up all of your income as well as any monthly expenses. And if you don't make the same amount of money each month, then add up how much money you made, let's say last year, and divide by 12, and you can use that number. Now, some people like to create a budget simply using, pen and notebook. Some people like to use software programs such as Excel. Some people use Notion or ClickUp. So these are other tools that you can use to create a budget. Whatever you need to do, you want to start right now and to create this budget. You want to subtract all of your expenses from the total income that you have to see how much money, if any, that you have left over at the end of your billing cycle. And then if your expenses total more than your income, then you aren't making enough money to support your current lifestyle, right? So that means you need to look into ways to reduce your expenses or to increase your income. And we're going to talk about those things in a moment. So just to recap, number one is going to be create a budget. That is the number one thing that you need to do, in my opinion, to stop living paycheck to paycheck. Let's talk about my number two, and that is to make sure you establish some type of emergency fund. So unexpected emergencies and bills make it harder for you to get out of the paycheck to paycheck cycle. So you want to make sure you start putting aside a little bit of money either every week or every month so that you have some extra cash on hand in case something happens, like you need to repair your car or some type of surprise bill comes up. Or you can be like me. In the month of October, I ended up having to have surgery. And I did not have a medical sinking fund. That's like the one sinking fund I did not have. And so then, now I have to come up with other ways to make sure I can pay the medical bills. So you want to make sure you start right now, and you want to save for those unexpected expenses. A lot of people like to have at least 3 months of expenses saved up in case things, happen. Some people like to have 6 months. It's going to be completely up to you. But life is anything but predictable. So the more you plan for the unexpected, the better you can prepare for the future. It's also better to pay for these surprise expenses up front instead of taking on additional debt and having to pay interest on that debt. So again, number 2 is to establish an emergency fund. This is going to be the second way that I recommend that you stop living paycheck to paycheck. Next up, we have number 3, and that is to stop living in debt. And this is a hard one, okay? But we have to try to get out of debt. Saving money is or can be next to impossible when you're stuck in debt. So I don't want you to get discouraged and think that you can't get out of it. Even if it takes you 5 years, 10 years, it doesn't even matter. I need you to start right now to do what you need to do to try to get out of debt. So when adding up your monthly finances, try to put some extra money toward paying off your debt. And we're going to talk about ways that you can make extra money in just a minute. But this usually means paying more than necessary on auto loans or on student loan debt, credit card debt, or other high interest loans. The principal loan amount should go down from month to month so that you don't have to pay as much interest. And again, I know this is hard to do, but we got to get out of debt. All right, so look for other ways to lower your monthly payments. You can try refinancing your current debts to lock in a lower monthly payment or interest rate. You can also apply for low interest personal loans to consolidate your debt. Now, this is what I did when I was paying off my credit card debt, and I'll link the video in the description below if you want to check out how I paid off $30,000 in credit card debt. But doing this should help you pay off your bills as fast as possible. So again, I consolidated my debt, but that is just what worked for me. You have to figure out what works for you. But definitely step number 3 here, I would say, is to break the cycle by getting out of debt. So you're probably wondering, how am I going to make these extra payments when I already don't have enough income to pay my bills? So number 4 is to increase your income. All right. So what can you do to increase your income? If you're having a hard time getting ahead of your expenses, you can try boosting your income, even if it means bringing in just a few dollars a month, okay? You can try working a part-time job. You can try starting a side hustle. Becoming an entrepreneur, I would say, I don't want to say it's a little bit easier now, but I would say since COVID, you're definitely seeing a lot more of it. So you can try to start your own online project, your own e-commerce shop. Even myself, I'm trying to do something different, something I've never done before. You can try your own marketing venture. If you have a sizable following on social media, this could all work for you. Even if you don't, I don't have a large social media following, and I'm trying something to increase my income, so you can try it as well. You can also consider selling some of your possessions if you no longer need them, and this can also increase your finances. So I definitely would recommend, in order to stop living paycheck to paycheck and to break the cycle, step number 4 is to find a way to increase your income. Okay, so let's talk about number 5, which is simply spending less and living on less than you make. Okay, so you don't want to spend all of your money just because you have it. So you want to spend less on things like buying groceries, maybe buy the generic brand. You want to spend less on eating out, maybe cook at home. You have to find these different ways that you can spend less every single day. So that includes subscriptions. Maybe you don't need the gym membership. Maybe you don't need Netflix and Hulu. Also, some companies may charge you additional annual fees on top of your monthly bill. So you want to kind of check out and be careful about that. It's also a good practice to review any subscriptions that you have. At least annually, you want to review those subscriptions. You want to cancel services that you haven't used in a long time. You can even think about bundling options, which you want to kind of be careful about with the bundle deals that companies are offering. Sometimes it's not a deal, so you have to be careful about that. But sometimes you can have companies that will offer you Spotify or Hulu for example, when you have your cellular package. Okay, so that's an example of a bundle deal. So again, see how you can spend less and cut your expenses so that you can save money and you can break this cycle, you guys, of living paycheck to paycheck, or as I mentioned before, as I was doing, living credit card to credit card. Same thing. Now, number 6 is very, very similar to number 5. Spending less and cutting or reducing your expenses, to me, is kind of all in the same, but I separated it here. And I already mentioned some ways that you can reduce your expenses. But if you guys have any ways that you are reducing your expenses right now, I would love to talk about those in the comments below. So this is your call to action. If you have ways to cut or reduce expenses, please share them. And again, this is number 6. This is another way that you can stop living paycheck to paycheck. And I'll go ahead and share with you a couple of things that I did when I first started my journey to reduce my expenses. And that was to let go of my DirecTV. That was a big deal for me because I didn't think I was going to be able to do it. But I did let go of my DirecTV and all of my DVRs. I had so many. And that was, that saved a lot of money for me. I also changed my cell phone provider. So instead of AT&T spending $120 a month, I went to Straight Talk at $45 a month. So again, that was a huge cut for me. And then the last one I would say was I refinanced my car, the car that my son currently has, and that lowered my payments for I think almost $100, and that freed up $100 a month for me. And I ended up paying off the car pretty quickly, but this is just a way that I reduce my expenses so that I can free up some money so I can use that money to pay off debt. So it's definitely some things to think about. So again, let me know in the comments below what you guys are doing to reduce your expenses. Okay, so that brings me to number 7. This is my final tip on how you can stop living paycheck to paycheck. And y'all, this is up there for me, right up there with creating a budget. And that is going to be to establish sinking funds. Now, I mentioned to you earlier that I did not have a medical sinking fund, and I ended up having to have surgery in the month of October. So you guys don't want to do that. But other than the medical sinking fund, I have a ton of sinking funds, you all, a ton of them. I pretty much have a sinking fund for everything. And it's been a lifesaver because anytime something comes up, I already have the money for it. So vacation, I already have the money for it. Back to school shopping with my son, I already have the money for it. His birthday, I already have the money for it because I have sinking funds and I save throughout the year. So this is a game changer, you all. And if you've watched any of my other videos, you already know that I didn't even know what this word was when I first started back in 2018. I had never heard of a sinking fund. And I'm 42. Okay, so it's a game changer. If you don't have sinking funds in your life, I highly recommend it. Same thing with the budget. And as far as where to keep the sinking funds, I use SoFi because you're able to have vaults. And I think you can have up to 20 vaults and everything is right there in one place. I also use Capital One 360, and you're also able to have multiple accounts in there as well. So those are my top 2. But yeah, this is a game changer. So definitely get you some sinking funds set up if you don't already have them. You guys know that I'm saving for a down payment on a home, so I have a fund set up for that. And I'm clicking on my SoFi Vaults account right now just to kind of let you guys know what other funds I have. So I have a car maintenance fund, a Christmas fund. Gotta have Christmas, right? I have one for Dallas Cowboys because I want to go to a game this year, which I am going to in December. So I have to give you guys a spending diary video on how much I spent at my first NFL game. All right, so I have one for a cruise that I want to go on. I have a dental sinking fund. I even have a sinking fund for my hair because, I get that done every couple of months and it's quite expensive now. So I have a sinking fund for that. Car insurance. Now that I'm paying my car insurance every 6 months, and by the way, that's another way you can reduce your expenses, because if you pay If you pay every 6 months versus every month, you're reducing your expenses. So anyway, I have a sinking fund for car insurance. All right, just a couple other things. I have a sinking fund for a wedding that's coming up. Also, my son is a sophomore in high school, but I have a senior year sinking fund because I know senior year is going to be expensive. And let's see, I have a sinking fund for my niece's graduation and a couple other things. So just get started. You don't have to have as many sinking funds as I do, but you can get started with just a few and go from there. So before I mention the call to action, I want to talk about this statistic that I saw on CNBC as I was reading, and that is 60% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck, including nearly half of six-figure earners. So just because you earn a lot of money does not mean that you have a lot of money, and vice versa. But I don't want you guys to be a part of this 63%. I want you to start right now with one of these tips that I shared. I want you to figure out a way that you can get started so that you can stop this cycle. Remember, I was doing this just a couple of years ago with credit cards. And honestly, I'm still a work in progress because anything can happen and I can be right back in that same situation. So I have to just kind of keep in mind my goals and my why. So you guys remember your why as well. Why are you doing this? Are you doing this for yourself, your kids, so that you can travel, so that you can retire, whatever the case may be? All right. So again, I want you to choose one of the tips that we talked about today, and I want you to get started. Personally, I think you should choose getting started with a budget first, create that budget, and then go from there. But I want you to also write down your plan. What are you planning on doing in the next week or the next month or the next 6 months to make some changes in your finances? Set some goals. These can be monthly goals, quarterly goals, yearly goals, but I want you to set some goals for yourself, and I want you to visit your plan and your goals every single day on a daily basis. Revisit those things, read over them every single day, see what you need to change, what you need to, revise, improve, or whatever. And then I want you at some point to evaluate, at the end of the day, maybe evaluate how you did that day. Are you doing the things that you need to do to stop living paycheck to paycheck? And again, this is a work in progress. It's going to take time, but you have to start somewhere. So let me know in the comments what you are deciding to do, or if you've already started your journey, talk about some things you've done already that may help someone else that's watching the video or that's reading the comments. I wish you all the best on your financial freedom journey. Thank you all for supporting me and my channel. And if you stuck around to the end of the video, don't forget, if you learned something throughout the video, give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell. See you next time.